right, cool.
All right, I got my resident tech guy here, the one and only keep it
What's that?
techie. Hey, first of all,
What's up,
congrats,
man? What's up?
91,000 subs.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy, man. Just seeing that happen, bro. I've been, just working super hard, just trying to build up my channel, and not really looking for fame or anything like that. But um, it's just crazy to see it happen, bro. That's all I can
So,
say.
as far as your YouTube, how's it changed with the numbers being that high for you, your sub count?
I get more subs faster. That's
Okay.
the only thing I could say. And to be honest, like my content, it ain't as popular, so I don't think you really start seeing a good amount of money until you probably reach a whole lot bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So, are you gonna have a
But I
so
get more money. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I'm still at the stage where I get more money from like
sponsors?
organizations that I
Okay.
work
Okay.
with,
Okay.
like companies, um, versus my channel.
That's for
So
sure. Okay. Cool. Cool.
yeah,
Cool. So
yeah,
you haven't started the countdown yet to the 100,000. You know how they get close and they have the ticker going.
yeah. Nah, hey, I'm just when it happened, bro.
For
You know what I'm
sure.
saying? Yeah, it ain't a priority of mine. That's why I always said this. Every time I talk to someone, I mean, this has always been a hobby. I just enjoy doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Talking about something that's interesting to me.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That I know a good amount about. So
That's what's up.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's get right to it. The DeepSeek. Now, how I know you knew about this way before we did. So
Yeah.
you're the expert, man. Just give it to us. Good, bad, ugly. Should we play with it? Stay away from it? All of it.
Okay. All right. So did you want me to break down
Man,
exactly
please.
what
That's
these
why you are here. Yes,
LLMs
sir.
are? Okay.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. So let me start off with breaking down what a LLM is for anybody that's unaware. The LLM stands for large language model. And it's basically, a AI system that's trained to understand and generate human-like text, like conversations. Um, so you can kind of think of it like I don't know, a virtual brain, so to speak.
Okay.
Um, you know, built to like use like neural networks,
Hmm.
to process the language. And um there are plenty of models out there and they're developed by different organizations as well. Like Meta has one. I mean, we all heard about the Google one, the board, and then open, AI's Chat GPT.
Hmm.
Well, um, what makes this one different, or what shook up, I would say, the market, so to speak. These large language models were pushed by these big tech companies as costing a whole lot of money to train these models, so they'll work efficiently, kind of like Chat GPT and all
Hmm.
that stuff. They use billions of dollars of equipment to train these models. They have to they based on what they said, they have to use like the latest Nvidia GPUs. That's why Nvidia's stock went down when this came out, because they didn't have, and we'll get into that a little later, but they
Yeah.
didn't use the same stuff that OpenAI or any of these other organizations that created these large language models that are out there that are being used to create this one or train this new model that they put out there.
Okay.
And so it's a lot less it's more cost efficient the way they're doing it, and they're proving that point by putting this out there, putting this. So I mean, I recommend people play around with it. I recommend people, learn it, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying, and just see what it's about and use it. Because one cool thing about it, it's got like different features in it where it has more logic built into it. Like you can see it breaking down the questions for you. Like with ChatGPT, when you type in something, you type in a word or you type in a question or whatever, it basically gives you the answer. It'll think for a second and then it'll give you the answer. Well, with this large language model, what it does is it outputs all the thinking process that happens when you ask a question.
Okay.
So let's say you ask, let me see, how does Linux work? Well, you'll see it um start breaking down different parts on how it comes up with the answer. Essentially, it'll
Okay.
say it'll go down a certain road, and then if that doesn't seem right, it'll cancel itself and go back to and start doing the logical thinking to come up with the right answer for you, for that you're most likely looking for.
So we get the process to see how it comes up with the answer, like long
Yes,
division,
exactly.
multiplication. You see the actual work
Well,
instead of
not the
just
not the not the not any multiplications or anything like that. But oh well, yeah. If you're looking at math, then yeah,
yeah.
it
That's how
will
I'm looking
show
at it.
that
You
process.
show the work,
Okay,
right?
that's yeah, it'll show the work essentially.
Okay.
Yep.
So basic. Let's just take just a layman, a normie that's not into tech like this. How could this help them, or what applications could they use to help them with this? If people are still like, hold on with this chat GPT, I keep hearing about it. Now all of a sudden here comes DeepSeek. So how would you advise people to get into this or what ways would you advise them to say you should use it for this, you should use it for that?
Well, see, that's the thing. Yeah, they have models for any and everything you could think of. You can actually train a model. You could take one of these smaller models
Mm-hmm.
and train the model to do whatever you want to do with it. Like you can set it up to have a specific function. Like, for instance, you can create a large language model that only focuses on cybersecurity. And let's
Okay.
say you wanted to teach people cybersecurity,
Mm-hmm.
you can give it instructions to where it only responds to cybersecurity type questions,
Okay.
and that's all that's in, I mean, obviously it uses the other parts of it, but that's the main focus of what the large language model is set up for. So it could be, pretty much anything. So you can take one of these models, you can put the instructions in it, and then um, ask it questions as you need it, or it can create bots for you, it can create marketing stuff for you. I mean, it's all depending on what you want to use it for, bro. You
Mm-hmm.
got like so many things you can do. Like I remember back in the day, bro. Let me just go back. Let me show
Yeah,
my
I mean,
age.
take your time.
Somebody
Take your time. Yeah. Yeah.
somebody I remember, like I was like 19, 20. Somebody, you remember the software you could buy from like Best Buy, um that will walk you through building out a business plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of my aunties bought it for me, and she was like, "Yeah, yeah, I heard you was trying to start a business or something like that." And she bought me that software, and you got to go through it slowly and fill it out. It's almost like filling out your taxes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Well, these large language models can create that for you. Like I was just playing around with it just to see. I put in some contract information that I found on, how grants,
Okay.
grants.gov, the government site for
Mm-hmm.
grants, and they put out all the grants that are out there. So I was just taking some of the verbiage and all that stuff and putting it into the large language model to see if it can assist me with creating a proposal to apply for this grant.
Okay.
And yes, it does it, man. It's crazy.
So is it already? How much more training does it need? Unlike ChatGPT, that's forever, I guess, forever learning. It's still tweaking out, getting the tweaks out of it per se.
Hmm. Well, this is the thing. Like you these big organizations, they still have I would say they still have the hardware to train these large models.
Okay.
Um, but they create smaller models that other people can use. And so
Mm-hmm.
you could take those smaller models, and train them to do certain things. And let me explain it a little bit better when it comes to the smaller models that are created. Essentially, if you look at it like this, like I used to want to be a barber. Well, you can go into the barber shop, and cut hair under other people's license. And basically you're gonna get the training, you're gonna get more training that you would get from him than from going to the traditional school or whatever. They're gonna teach you a whole bunch of other
Right.
stuff that's irrelevant that you probably not gonna see anymore, not gonna use anymore once you start really cutting hair and get your license. You're
Right.
gonna learn a whole lot more from that person that you cutting under. So it's kind of like a I don't know, a barber apprentice, or I don't know, an apprenticeship.
Hmm.
So that's what those smaller models are for. Or created. They basically are trained by the bigger models. You see what I'm saying? It's
Hmm.
condensed down into a smaller model, uh, but it has the training of the bigger models. So I guess my point for bringing that up, I'm trying to remember what the question you asked me, because I I just
Is
went
it
on
is
like
it
a
for,
tangent trying to, huh?
is it
Go
further
ahead.
along than Chat GPT basically at this point?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, the cheaper models. Yeah, and that's what shook up the market.
Okay.
When DeepSeek came out, and made all the stock go down, like with Nvidia, Microsoft and all that, and they all scrambling, because they was able to create this large model. They made a large model just like you would be able to make, um, like OpenAI makes with all that crazy hardware that they have. They were able to create it on cheaper hardware in China. And this was actually like a side project for a smaller, this company, they don't even deal with AI. They just created that on the
Right. Right.
side because the their main focus was, I think, Bitcoin,
Hmm.
or mining coins and
Yeah.
stuff. So a lot of those mining companies, they have like a whole bunch of hardware just sitting around, especially once certain things happen where I don't know, when it went down, when the mining went down, where
Hmm.
it wasn't to the point where you can actually make money off of it. You remember with the whole crash, and now it's going
Yeah.
back up.
Yeah.
Well, um it wasn't worth it as far as the amount of power you were using, what I'm saying, when it
Yeah.
comes to. So now they were just taking that hardware and using it for other things, which is why they trained this model and put it out there. And it also shook it up because they made it open source. And I don't know if you noticed this. That's why I talk about that on my channel a lot. Open source technology, open source solutions. That means anybody could take it and use it.
Right.
The big models that like the Chat GPT, it's all behind a paywall. It's all, yeah, subscription based to
That's
use
why
it.
I don't even deal with it. When they had the free
You know
version,
what
I
I'm
was like,
saying?
okay, cool. And then it's like
Yeah.
pay. I was like, I'll wait. Yeah.
Now the thing is, now one thing about it though, I would recommend, because I know you asked me to explain or recommend to the people listening. I wouldn't recommend you use the online version.
Okay.
There is a way to download it and set it up yourself. You can set it up on your laptop, and it's offline. Essentially, you can turn off your internet and it'll work the exact same way once you have it set up on your system. You don't have to have an internet connection or anything. You have the model, and all you have to do is just set it up and let it run in the background, and you could ask it questions just like you would the online thing. And the reason you want to do that is because the online version, and I found this out from Gabe yesterday. He was on somebody else's live stream, and he was talking about how it sends the data back to the Republic of China. You know what I'm saying? And I went and looked into the documentation and notes of it, and yeah, it definitely does. They send a lot of that stuff back to China, so kind of like TikTok,
So we're
might be a
back at square
security
one.
threat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but you can take it though. You can at least take it and run it offline and train your own models using it. You see what I'm saying?
yeah. Uh, okay. So the China thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
funny to me that people complain about communism, socialism. They make fun of these countries and the people that are under these types of monarchies or whatever, these living situations. But yet, when TikTok went down, people ran over the red note, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
wait, y'all do realize this is a communist ran? Can you talk to that? And you being former military, how do you see
See,
this, man? Like,
yeah, it's I don't know. It's almost like the culture is changing, like these younger generations, the culture is changing where, it's not really about the US like we used to. I think it's because of things changed in the education system. I remember when I was in high school, I'm sure you did the same thing, or middle school, elementary school, stand up for the
Pledge
Pledge
of
of
Allegiance.
Allegiance, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And the principal will be on there. They'll say a prayer and stuff. They took prayer out to school, all that stuff. Then it didn't change, bro. Like there is no um there is no pride for the country anymore. It seems like people always have an issue or find some reason to hate the country.
Okay,
You
okay,
know what I'm saying? And turn it back on the actual country that you're from. I mean, I get it. We there are problems here in the US. Um, I still, consider myself somewhat pro-black because of some of the views I have when it comes to certain things. You know what I'm
okay.
saying?
Yeah.
But I still love this country. You know what I'm saying? I still wouldn't want to be anywhere
Anywhere
else.
else, exactly.
I wouldn't want to have ICE knocking on my door. You
Hey
know what I'm
man,
saying?
10 people living in another country is not enough to convince me that your
Yeah.
existence is better than my. I'm good, no matter how
Yeah, and
bad
then
it
I didn't
gets.
been to some of these places.
Okay,
You know what
right,
I'm
right.
saying? I didn't.
Yeah.
I worked in Afghanistan for like 4.5 years, and yeah, I would not trade places with any of those people, bro. I don't care how much, I don't know, money they had over there is
Yeah.
still not equivalent. The standard of living, the life, and all that stuff is still no comparison. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't know.
Well, let me
This
ask
younger
you.
generation is different, bro.
Oh, mad different. I get it. Globalism now, and we're a global society now, and things are more at reach. I get it, but a lot of these lessons that we learned and through the boomers and silent generation, they learned that shit the hard way. How bad communism is and socialism and whatever. And we are like the last bastions of remnants of like y'all know if we go this route, it's a
Hmm.
wrap, And I don't think these
Yep.
younger, yeah, that's the scary part. Is like they don't really understand how bad this could be. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
do
and you're right though. I just wanted to touch on this too. The
yeah,
like
yeah,
with the whole TikTok thing. That's why I always been, you know, kind of for the ban. I know it's like people they upset about it and all that stuff or whatever. I've been kind of for it because in
okay,
my opinion, it's a security threat.
okay,
I mean, you basically allowing another country to have a surveillance application within your borders. That's the way I look at it. Surveillance, essentially, especially if it's sending all this stuff back to Chinese servers.
Let me ask you this
Yeah,
because you're gonna
we.
get
Oh, go ahead.
you have people will give you pushback. Well, Google does the same thing. So what's the difference between Google having your data versus let's say China having your data? And
Yeah,
you with your
well,
expertise, go ahead.
yeah, well, China is a whole lot different. They have they have rules in place. Let's say, I mean, you got a business over there.
Hmm.
They could just take over. They could take you out, to the woods somewhere, just shoot you in the head, take your company. You go up missing. I mean, you find
Yeah,
you go missing. I mean, at
they're
least out here,
billionaires. Yeah,
mhm,
even their billionaires are not safe. And I've heard the stories
they
where
not.
they're getting clipped, and I'm just like, okay, okay,
Yeah, yeah. And so at least we have, you know, laws and rules in place. Some laws, rules in place. I know people would say, "Oh, it's corruption." Yeah, it's corruption and everything. I get it,
hmm,
but at least we have some form of um, at least of a process that people have to go to access this data. You
okay,
know what I'm saying? They just not. I mean, yeah, they're willy nilly grabbing all of it. And let me explain that to everybody that don't know when it especially with the Snowden stuff came out and all that, the mass surveillance and all that stuff. Basically, the way that system worked, I know that he talked about they were grabbing metadata, what they call metadata,
mhm,
and so that data is tied to a person, but you're not able to access that unless it's some threat. that ties that information to something. You see
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So they
Hmm.
they can only see what's tied to whatever they're investigating, and they have to get a court order. It was a Pfizer court order where they had to get that approved. And yeah, like I said, I already said the corruption is there, corruption, but at least there is a process.
Hmm.
In China, they can just run those fees over here. We gonna blow your head off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, guys like you, G Dizzle, Gabe A, you guys are the front lines of this type of stuff. You guys are seeing things and hearing things maybe years before it affects the consumer. What do you see
Mhm.
on the horizon that has you extremely worried,
Um,
or at least that you can speak of?
um, One thing I see with this AI stuff that's going on is it's just opening up the doors for other or for smaller businesses to actually hop into the game when it comes. It's going to create more competition. So this is going to push forward the what would you call it, I'm trying to think of that word, man. I can't think of it. The innovation when it comes to AI. It's going to push forward with that a whole lot faster because yeah, these companies are getting scared. Like these bigger Silicon Valley companies are being scared. This new model has pushed everybody behind.
Okay.
Meaning Meta got theirs. I heard that Mark Zuckerberg, he last night um he pulled in a whole bunch of like three teams of engineers or something like that to start working on creating a new model. And his model is open source too. I don't know if you know that. He has a model out there. It's called Llama, that you can run locally as well,
Okay.
similar to that. But it's requires that huge hardware, so they said. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But like like I said, this Chinese company kind of exposed that you don't need as high end of a hardware to train these models. So, and just to put it in perspective, um, based on the estimates that I remember reading about, I think it was it's like $1 billion to run all the horror of infrastructure to train one of these models. That's how much it supposedly cost, to actually like Chat GPT, and that's why uh, OpenAI had to get the backing of Microsoft as well as their infrastructure in order to build that model to run a whole lot better because they needed more hardware, they needed more GPUs, they needed
Hmm.
more to make the models a whole lot better. They needed that hardware, so they said.
So they say, right?
But
Yeah.
yeah, but all their stuff is, behind a paywall. So you don't really know. It could have been, a little bit cheaper to do this, and they just wasn't telling us because they didn't want other countries or other smaller businesses to be competitors, like what just happened with the Chinese company. Well, anyway, to get back to the perspective on the price, so they say like $1 billion infrastructure. This other company, I was reading about it, they trained that model that they put out there, and it's on par with the latest version of Chat GPT
Okay.
for 6 million.
Okay.
So that kind of shows you, the difference in the price gap of the infrastructure that you need in order to train these things. So I believe it's going to open up the market a whole lot more for smaller organizations to actually get in and start creating their own chats for different purposes.
We know that China does everything for cheaper, but does cheaper necessarily mean better? So if I'm an investor, maybe if I'm a consumer, if I'm just a part time hacker, should I
Hmm.
invest in, let's say, a NVIDIA versus an open source low tier Timu version of a Chinese company that does AI? Where would you steer the
um
people more so?
as far as investing, I'm not no financial advisor,
Well,
but
okay.
I
I
would
mean,
recommend. No,
if
I
I
get
mean
what you're
investing,
saying.
like learning, actually spending time, and if they're going to move forward
Oh,
and this with this technology thing and get up to speed with everybody else, would they be better off going with a trusted company like Nvidia or versus let's see the next, cheap Chinese company that just
like
comes around.
AMD
Yeah,
or like a lower tier GPU or
yeah,
something like that to
yeah.
that effect. Um, See, and that's the thing. It's just really what this is going to um, push people to run these things a whole lot faster
Okay,
using lower hardware because obviously if you could do more with less you're going to want to do way more. You
of
double
course.
that, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So it's going to keep moving forward. And so I mean, as far as investing in it, I would recommend at least get an understanding of it. So if you want to create models, like I'm looking at creating my own model for Linux content. So and I was going to tie it to like a chat on my website
Okay.
to where people can just go in there and they can ask questions and it'll point to the pages on my website, or it'll give them the answer of what they're looking for.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hopefully that makes sense.
No, no, no. I'm there. I'm there. Is China the ultimate slippery slope because they provide everything for cheap? Is that the inroads to you wake up one day and be like, oh, we are under communism or light forms of it, and based off because it was convenient, because it was cheaper, um, is that a kind of a debate and switch, or does that concern you? How people are so quickly to run towards anything coming
Yeah.
out of China? Okay,
Yeah, I get your question. Yeah, I get where you're going now. Yeah, yeah. I do think that that's a legitimate concern, and which I don't understand why they went away from that with the whole TikTok situation.
okay,
Because at the end of the day, this is a security threat. Period. No matter how you look at it. And the crazy part about it, I know this new company though, DeepSeek, they actually went through a cyber attack yesterday. And so people were able to get people's accounts. That's why I think currently right now you can't even sign up on their site as a US citizen. You got to be a Chinese citizen in order to create an account on there. You can
hmm
still download the model, but you have to have a Chinese account in order to create a new account. And so anyway, yeah, I think it's just a way to um, I don't know, open up the market as well as try to um, insert themselves into a lot more. And I don't know. I'm not good at this whole geopolitics thing, man.
but it's funny
to,
how it walks you down, it leads you down that path regardless. Like it's
yeah,
at the end of the road, you're gonna have to come to some type of understanding, or you're gonna see that monster at the end of the at some point. That's the scary part for I think for most people that be like, oh, I'm gonna keep my head down and not deal with it. But no, you go down this path, you eventually gonna come across
yeah,
it.
yeah. I got you.
Um, hmm. Okay, if we get would the uh, common sense would tell us this will force the bigger companies to kind of maybe scale back the spending, the money they dump in research and development. Okay, what is it that China does so well for cheap? How are they able to do what they do for next to nothing? What is the
Uh,
what is their process for chip creation? Their thought processes for creating CPUs and GPUs that maybe let's say American companies just don't understand, or what is the problem? Why can't we not do what they do for cheap
it's not
as
that
well?
it's not that they don't understand. They don't have the laws in place like we have, so they could just steal the technology
Okay.
in a lot of cases. Um, there's no, copyright laws, no, all of the patents and all that stuff. They don't care about that stuff. They're just, still, and it's nothing against Chinese people or whatever. They do what they do, but they'll just take the technology, bro, and run with it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why they wouldn't. All right, and if you look a little deeper into DeepSeek, one thing they have not put out there is the exact um video cores that they use,
Right.
because it was certain video cores that were being controlled by the US that were created for AI. It's the
Mm-hmm.
chips and all that stuff. They're created for AI,
Mm-hmm.
for creating these types of models. And people are thinking that they got their hands on that, but they haven't put out exactly what they got. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, and look at what Nick say. He say they don't pay for anything. You just gonna take it, man. I'm telling you.
That is that's crazy. Huh. Hmm.
And so we got all these laws in place now where in the US where you just can't take other people's stuff and run with it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a process. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay, but we benefit from that. So now it's like a catch 22.
yeah, it kind of screws us as well as benefits us as well at the same time. So I don't with them they have the resources, because a lot of times them companies, especially like some of these companies that get big, especially when it's looking at implementing or getting US data,
Mm-hmm.
is government backed. You know what I'm saying? So the unlimited funds when it comes to stuff like that, especially if it's going to gather information, because at the end of the day, I think a lot of things that come out from there, we're still in that war that we were talking about, quote unquote war that we were talking about, trade war,
Yeah.
but it's still like a cold war with China, where we're doing things to each other that most people don't know about. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's back and forth hacking, um, you know, just setting up new defenses for our computer networks over here, infrastructure and all that stuff. Yeah, it's constant attacks going on, that are state sponsored on both
Right.
sides of the aisle. You know what I'm saying? So I I know we at war, man.
Well, let me ask you, how much AI do you see yourself using, implementing in your life moving forward?
It all depends. Like, well, for one, let me tell you a project I'm actually working on right now. I'm actually I don't like Twitter that much,
Okay.
but it's a great tool, to interact with people and all that stuff. So I created a large language model and using Python
Okay.
to generate tweets for me, and it'll generate it in a human form, and I give it the instructions on how to generate those tweets. And also I can gather, another thing you can do, you can gather information from Twitter using their API,
Okay.
like other people's tweets that have gotten high interaction. You could pull things by the interaction and all
Okay.
that stuff to try to tailor your content to,
To that. Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Gotcha.
or
Okay.
your tweets to, to where they'll get that same type of engagement. You see
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? So I started working on something with that the other day, and I actually finished it. And see, that's the thing, I downloaded DeepSeek without even knowing about all this stuff that was going on. I found out about it yesterday evening when I heard Ty City talking about it, and so it made me look into it. But I had already had the model, and I was playing around with it. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, because I was trying to figure out the best model to use to actually you know create this thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so yeah, you can use it for it. It all depends on the purpose, bro. Just come up with an idea, and you can create a solution using these large language models and um all these chat bots and all this stuff. You can come up with solutions for a lot of different things. Just gotta play around with it.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. But let me be devil's advocate. Why would I, let's say you had an app and say, hey, Sly, listen. I can help you customize your Twitter feed, right? Well, okay, why would I do that when I could just go into my actual Twitter and customize who I don't want to see and pull engagement? What is the advantage per se if, or what's the allure, the appeal for saying someone to do what you do with your Twitter as to implement their own language model? You know what I'm saying? What's the draw in for that? Or not just your Twitter, but just for anything, your Facebook, your IG. You know what I'm saying?
I would say it would tie more to businesses
Okay.
or people that's setting up a business,
Okay.
and that's the concept I had in my head. I was like, okay, Twitter is a tool. It is something that can, attract more eyes or attract more people to it. So I go over there and still tweet my normal stuff,
Okay.
but I have more content being put up there via the chat bot. You see what I'm saying? So
I see.
it in my opinion, it's a whole lot. And then that's the thing; it runs 24/7 for me. It don't, but I have um, things in place within Python that only allows it to put it up at certain times of the day at random times, so it
Okay.
kind of looks like a real person is doing it. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of these tweets that I'm putting up now, at least for the last 2 days now that I activated it, um, they are from that chatbot.
Okay.
And then I don't know, it's content creation, bro. Like if you want to build your business around something like that, or if you have a business and you want to do your marketing stuff,
Okay.
that can market it for you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
By creating a model, especially if you have a business, you got a server you can run this thing on. You train it how you want it to run, and you could push out um, marketing ads to all these different platforms at the a stroke of a button, just running in the background, automatic for you.
Okay. Everything you just said, I understand, but I don't think the average person on the laptop understood what you just said. You understand? Like
Yeah,
to download
yeah,
it,
you're
to
right,
build it up.
because it does take, you got to have that somewhat of a technical, not really a technical mind, but you have to have a good understanding of how these social media platforms work. All these social media platforms, they have what they call APIs.
Mm-hmm.
APIs is what programs use to connect to the data on the back end of the application.
Okay.
So I mean, essentially, look at all these social media platforms as a big database, and there's data sitting behind what you're seeing in the front. And like, I have an ID number, you have an ID number, and all the stuff that's associated with that one person is tied to that ID number. That's
Right.
how they're able to display it on the screen for you. So anyway, you could tap into that API. You can get um, access to it, and some of them they charge. Some of them they just allow you to get in, but you only have a certain amount of what they call tokens to pull information. They
Mm-hmm.
limit it per
Mm-hmm.
month to make sure everyone can access it, and that it cuts down on the spam as well.
Okay.
But yeah, you can get access to that, and this will allow you to generate leads. Let's say you're a sales guy, this will allow you to generate leads. This is something that I was trying to do a while back, and this was before this whole large language model. I had built a Twitter bot that does the exact same thing, but this was before Elon bought it, and he cut. Soon as he bought it, he cut all that stuff off. So I thought you couldn't build it no more.
Mm-hmm.
But I went and looked into it like a week ago, and I saw that I still have a developer account, and I could create one. But anyway, I had access to their API, and the reason I found out about it was because of the cybersecurity tools out there. People use those cybersecurity tools and social media to gather information on
Right.
people.
Yeah.
You can find you can find whatever you want off of there. You could pull, their profile, depending on if it's public, obviously. You can pull a profile. Let's say they accidentally put their phone number in a comment somewhere under something.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
could get that information, or their email address. You could pull that information. So you can get leads off of that stuff. Well, anyway,
Well,
that's accessible to anybody. They even have them on LinkedIn, and everybody has a LinkedIn. They have all their personal information up there.
Well, let me ask you: do you see this becoming a a bigger way of life? Because to me, it seems niche. Like only a certain demographic of people care about um, this type of technology being implemented in their everyday use. I don't see it becoming the thing to do. If it, what I'm
Yeah,
asking
and
makes sense, do you see that
no,
changing, or you're going to think, nah, this is going to be some underground shit for the for the most part, for those
I
that know,
think
you
it.
know?
I think it's gonna open it up for more people that get interested into it, because you
Okay.
can, like, you could easily download this stuff on your laptop and
Mm-hmm.
get it set up and running. Um, Most people have a laptop with a decent GPU in it, or at least one of the mobile GPUs that it has in it. It can run those models, those smaller models. So I mean, this can help people while they in school. This can help people while they, I mean, the possibilities are endless. They can have this with them when they're, I don't know, coming up with ideas for books that they're writing or something. Like, I don't know, man. It's just it's gonna be more accessible to everybody. It's similar to, I think it's gonna be to the point where, you know how everybody, oh, they got an Alexa or a Google or something like that to that effect. I think everybody's gonna have something like that, at least on their phone.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I see
Hmm.
apps being downloaded, but here's the thing: is it safe to say to call it just an AI assistant at the end of the day?
Yeah,
It's like
that's
having
essentially what. Because most people are gonna use it that way. The majority of people
okay,
are gonna use it that way, and I
okay,
100% agree with you there. It's not. It's only going to be a small niche of people that are going to be using it for, like, the things I'm doing with Python and all this other stuff. Because you got to understand that stuff. Um, but the crazy part about it is that the models that you're downloading and using can teach you that stuff. It can
that
walk you through step by step how to
okay.
write the Python script that you're trying to implement. So
That's
the
good.
information is going to be there. You just got to ask the questions. You know what I'm saying? And it depends on how much work you want to put into actually using the crap that's there in front of you.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because that was my next question. So basically, it's running in the background. It does nothing until you ask it to do something. Basically,
Essentially, like right now, I got one running. It's not. I have it scheduled to go off at 12 midnight, where it's gonna generate like five tweets for me for
okay,
today, for
okay,
the day.
okay,
It's
okay.
gonna pick random times for them and post them up. But it's the same concept no matter what it is. It's sitting there waiting for you to use it. Just like Alexa is just sitting there. Except the only difference is Alexa and Google and all this stuff is listening to all your damn conversations so they can create ads for you.
Man, listen, we unplug this shit and then we
You don't
still
have
plug
no
it back in and be
privacy.
like, "Hey, from what you said the 10 minutes ago before you unplugged me, did you catch that, nigga?" I was like,
Yeah,
what?
exactly. But but nah, it's just sitting there waiting for you to interact with it.
Do we get to a point where it will act on its own, assuming you need help or you need this done? So it goes from the robot that's in the corner that does nothing till you turn it on and give it something to do, to the robot that comes in and says, "Okay, look, I know you got this schedule. I know you need this done. I'm gonna go ahead and take care of it for you." Does it get to that point eventually?
I think it will. I think it
Okay.
will get to that point, and it'll become easier, because that's where the problem starts. The problem starts with, okay, the technology is there, but majority of the public doesn't know how to use it. If over time, though, it's going to get more and more user friendly. It's just like with the Linux operating system, like I talk about all the time. It was very difficult when it first came out. That's open source. So essentially, with these open source models, it's going to get a whole lot easier for people, the average Joe, to actually set this up. And to the point where you could tie it into different apps. Like, I seen someone, they created a whole video on Twitter, setting this up to run marketing campaigns, but and it was all point and click, bro. It was all
Okay.
they tying the AI to this connection and pulling data from this connection to push it out, to push it out to your email list that you have associated in your Google account. They even have, I seen somebody with a video since this thing came out where they tied the AI model to their Gmail account to handle their email
That's doing
as
too
things
much.
come in.
That's doing too much. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. That's doing too damn.
That's doing that
But
on the A, man.
it'll respond. It'll also, like, um if it needs to set an appointment, it'll schedule that for you.
See,
Put that in your calendar. It's like I said, the possibilities are endless, and it's becoming easier and easier and accessible to more and more people, especially once they understand how to use it. And then once it becomes a whole lot user friendly for people.
I think we're already down the path of no return at this point, man. I just think it's too late to turn back. And I mean, I just
Mhm.
Terminator, Skynet. That's all I. At the end of the day, like. You filthy humans, like y'all gotta go. Y'all the problem.
Yeah,
I don't ran the algorithm. I don't ran all the scenarios. Y'all the problem. I'm just like,
yeah,
yeah, that sounds about right. Um,
yeah.
do you see more of the deep seeks down the road? How competitive do you think this will become, as far as
It'll it'll become very compatible. I mean, competitive because, um, especially if they're telling the truth about their hardware that they used and all that. It was supposedly a little bit older hardware. They didn't put out exactly what they used,
yeah,
but it was supposedly some older hardware, and they didn't put it out because, um, they could get in trouble because it's certain technology they're not supposed to have. So maybe
okay,
they are using some of that. They just not telling us because, obviously they can get in trouble with the US when it comes to the control of those AI chips and all that stuff. But anyway, um, it's going to become very competitive. As you can see yesterday, uh, if you heavily invested in tech, you probably lost a little money. You know what I'm saying? I think Nvidia, what was it? 500 million, I believe I seen on the articles.
is it too early to panic? Because I seen the headline. I'm like, I wouldn't panic over this. Like, you see the shit they
Yeah,
got
and
coming down
that's
the pipe. Like, I'm not worried about this right now. Like, 5 years from now, I'm trying to get that mini supercomputer, bro. What are we talking about?
yeah, yeah, and see that's the thing. I think, you know people might have seen, you know how stock markets work. Somebody might have seen a couple people pull out,
Yeah,
and people follow the train. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? And so that made the stock. So this is actually a good time to buy Nvidia stock because I believe that the stock is going to go right back up.
I agree.
It's not gonna. It's not gonna. It's not going to keep going down or anything like that. I definitely recommend you. Now, I ain't no financial advisor, but I definitely recommend at least buy it with the dip. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it's going to go back up.
Okay, off the cuff question as far as open source versus closed. Um, Apple is closed, and and
Hmm.
and, and I don't know. Okay, we all
Microsoft
agree.
closed too.
Yeah, so we agree that open source is the way, is the best way to do it. But why do people still? I don't know. It's okay to be open source with your laptops and your tablets, but when it comes to your phones, oh wait. Now I got to have my system closed off. What are you talking about? So I'm like, how do people make the difference? Like, what is the why this and for not
Convenience.
and not for that?
Convenience.
Okay,
To be honest, the technology hasn't caught up with what people want to do on their phones
okay, talk
when it
about
comes
that.
to open source software. So there is open source software you can install on your Android device, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you're gonna lose access to a lot of different things.
This is true.
Um,
This is true.
you'll have access to app stores, to the regular app store. You can download some stuff, but the open source. software, it just hasn't caught up with what everybody wants to do on their phones. Like for instance, these new, like every time a new iPhone comes out, it's got all these crazy features on it, especially when it comes to taking pictures and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have access to any of that. When the new Android or the Google Pixel comes out, they got this AI generated crap for your pictures and all
I'm
this
not gonna
stuff
use
and
that. Yeah, I am.
moments and all
I
that stuff. Well,
yep.
I actually use it. It works
Do
great.
you?
Like some
Okay.
people use, yeah, some people use those cameras. Though I mean, those phones, they buy the phone as a
Just the
camera
camera. Yeah.
to upload stuff to social media and record and stuff like that. Because in a lot of cases, it's better than some of those big cameras. You know what I'm saying, that you could pay for. Um, but yeah, the software is just going to limit you when it comes to the open source software that's on there. So the convenience of it is taken away. That's the only thing I can see right now why it hasn't had a widespread adoption. It's the same thing with um Microsoft and Apple. They make everything convenient. And well, see, Apple, I don't I don't like Apple because it's an ecosystem, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And once you get into it, you got to get the Apple phone, you got to get that earbuds, you got to get, in order for everything to work seamlessly
Yeah.
together
Yeah.
and all this other, yeah. You basically stuck in the ecosystem at that point.
I agree. I agree. All right, brother. Well, I didn't. It's 51 minutes, man. You done already knocked it. I think we were going like 90 minutes, 2 hours. Like, yeah. No, you pretty
Yeah.
much said everything. I just is this a knee jerk reaction for the most part? Because it seems like
Um,
every time the new shit comes out, guys like you know, some guys like me, we're like, this ain't no real big deal. I mean, we didn't. You know, what's the? I don't understand what's the whole husband about, and it just felt like a knee jerk reaction from normies and purists like yourself. You're like, this is no
yeah.
big deal.
And investors
Okay.
and because they really don't understand the technology, but they, I mean, if basically what they put out there, what this DeepSeek put out there, the major takeaway from it all, they put out there that you can generate these large language models on par or better with ChatGPT and all these other organizations for a cheaper price.
Okay.
That's the takeaway from it all. And so that's what's being exposed, so to speak. That's why it's a lot of people talking about it or going crazy about it, and the stock price is going down and all this stuff, all this ripple effect from anything, because it's a lot of people invested in Nvidia
Hmm.
thinking that that was the only way you can create these big large language models is by having $1 billion infrastructure, but you come to find out you don't. So it's available to more and more people at that point. So the money is going to shift around. You see what I'm saying? It's going to
Yeah.
make things competitive.
Hmm.
Nvidia is going to have to do something to, push forward. They're going to have to keep innovating. They're not Open AI. They may get to the point. I think I heard about them releasing one of their models to the free version now. One of their newer models that they had behind the pro account, they
Hmm.
released it down to the free level for the
Yeah.
people that use it for that have a free account. So you can get better things from the free account, but they still got to it's basically AI as a commodity.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
changing.
Well, let me ask you. Would you run this on your phone? Would you advise people to run this on your phone? The DeepSeek on the phone. I've seen the videos where they're running on the Androids, and I'm like, I
I don't
wouldn't.
I don't yeah. As far as the app goes, I don't recommend you putting it on your phone and
Okay.
using it. And it's mainly because of what Gabe pointed out to me yesterday on that stream. Cause I didn't even know that was a thing by looking into it. I didn't even look into it yet that deep into the documentation behind it, the white papers and all that stuff. Well, your data is getting sent to the Chinese government. It says it clear as day in there that any data, any chats, and all that stuff is going to get sent to the Chinese government. And in my opinion, not that they're the enemy, but they are a foreign entity. And
Okay.
I don't want my information being pushed over to a foreign government, whether it's communist, whether it's democracy or anything like that. I don't want to push it over to anybody, any other country.
Okay, I got a dumb question. Hear me out. What could China do with our information?
Hacking campaigns. They can just get better sophisticated with the hacking. They could take your information, link you to other people so they'll know who to make the emails out to make it seem very realistic. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to spam mail and all that stuff. So I mean, it's so much you could do with that information. Still, I mean, still your identity as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
Sell it on a web. Well, most of the hackers do that. They sell it on the dark web, and a lot of our information is already out
It's
there.
already,
There's
yo,
nothing we can really do about it.
I get the emails for
Um,
data breaches like every
yeah,
few months. Like,
because
oh
what
yeah,
was that? A couple months ago, they had, what was it, like every U.S. citizen social security number was released or something
yeah.
like
I just
that.
got a
They found
settlement
it on
check.
a server.
Yeah, for a class
Hmm.
action lawsuit that it was $20, but I'm like, okay, for data breach, and I'm
Yeah,
just like, wow, it's really out here like that. Final
yeah.
question: a normie,
Okay.
what would you advise a normie? Uh, what to study if they want to get into DeepSeek and use this, to get into it. Now I'm talking just a regular normie that either Android,
Hmm.
iPhone, that doesn't need nothing about large language model, blah 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 blah. What would you tell them? Say, hey, you need to study this and this first before you get into this.
It's nothing you really need to study, to
Okay,
be honest. It's nothing you really need to study. You just need to go get a language model and play around with it. And it's not that difficult. Like I said, you could put it on your laptop. Um, and actually, do you can I share a screen
yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
Ecamm or no?
No, you should. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay.
Make
Yeah,
sure
let
I
me
think to mute when you share because the audio will go left. I don't know what the fuck it is going on
so
with
mute
Ecamm.
it.
Yeah, mute your part and then share it and I can show it.
Okay, hold on one second.
Hey everybody, I hope y'all's enjoying this. Okay, Techie, unmute
All
yourself. Let
right,
me.
all
Oh,
right.
there you go.
So you can
Perfect,
hear me
perfect.
now?
Yes, I can
Yeah,
hear you.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I mean, this is just a terminal, one of my servers that I had set up. So I was just gonna run one right fast. I think I got something on here because I was messing with the flat earthers. I ran a question in it.
Here you go.
Yeah, I got a short that I put out there not that long ago. I basically asked, why do people believe that Earth is flat? So let me just run it right fast so you can see. But all you have to do is install a thing and it's gonna run on your system. Yeah, I'm running it differently from
Okay.
the command line, but they have all this stuff set up where it's just one click install. You can install it, you can download the LLMs, and actually let me, but as you can see, it's spitting out all the information. Now I do have a video cord, a stronger video cord, so it's gonna be slower on your end.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Unless you have one of these high end video cords, or if you have a desktop computer with a nice size video cord in it, just to tie it to it. But um, yeah, you can yeah, and I just stopped sharing. But you can yeah, definitely set that up, no problem, on your laptop or whatever. And it's not that difficult to get running. And that's really how you learn it, because and that's another thing as far as the training part of it,
Okay.
that's where you get into the training part of it. In order to understand it, you need to download one of the models, and you have to understand how that model file works in order
Mhm.
to train the LLM to work the way you want it to work,
Gotcha.
or answer questions the way you want it to answer questions. There's plenty of tutorials out there. I even got a tutorial showing people how to set up an actual server. I just created one a long time ago, but I'll do another one more up to date that shows people how to set it up. But it's not that difficult. Like your Mac right now, you can set up a large language model on there. They have smaller models you could download where
Okay.
it's just like a gig in size. and you can download that model. And actually, let me share this right fast as well,
Yeah.
so so people can see. Um, let me see if I can find it right fast. Hold on. Hold on. Where is this crap? I done lost my page. I had it open just for this reason. Let me see. Olama. There we go. I minimized it. All right. So yeah, let me share this right fast. So here, yeah, and you can still hear me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I hope okay. All right. Cool. Cool. Yeah. So this is Olama. This is where you can download any large language model that's out there available in open source. And you'll see DeepSeek is here. So if we go into models, I'm gonna just quickly show you this, but it's like the top downloaded right now, the most popular one, the DeepSeek R1. All you have to do is download it using the Olama program. And it's basically just, and they give you the commands on how to do it. So it's all simple. And then also, if you had the front end set up, all you had to do is copy the name of it and drop this in there, and it'll download it for you. And then the front end will just allow you to select whatever model you want to use, and then you can go in and modify it, start learning how to modify it, at that point.
What is the learning curve you would say for the average normie for this?
um it might be a little intimidating at first,
Okay.
um just on the surface of things. But if you've used, or not on the surface but on the back end part of it, but if you've used chat gpt in the past, you can use this. It's just you have more features available to you because it's open source. And I wish I could show you the front end of the web UI, but it looks just like chat gpt. You can go into your settings and all that stuff, to manage the account and manage the models that you have on there. You could download more than one model on
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
It's just so much you could do. It's just like chat gpt but with more features available to you that you don't have to pay for.
That's always best. Well, yeah. Honestly, I only used it.
Yeah.
I had a couple questions I would ask it, and that was it for me. I was like, oh, this chat GPT, this all. I was just over it at that point, you know. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is what everybody going crazy for. Like a couple
And
questions,
that's the
like
thing. I like I don't use it that much either, bro. Like I just found a reason to use it with this Python script
right.
that I came up with, a couple of days ago. So I don't really, but before that, I haven't really used it as much. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have a need for it.
Okay. Okay.
So
I appreciate this deep dive, brother. I,
yeah,
I
no
had an
problem.
idea, but now I'm just like, okay, now sometime tonight I'm gonna go ahead and Mama Techie told me to, so I'm gonna go ahead and download this motherfucking DeepSeek thing and yeah,
Yeah,
so,
I'm gonna have to do a video quick
yeah. Please
soon
do,
too.
please
Then
do, please do,
it's
please
showing
do.
people, because yeah, it's the same on Mac. All you have to do is open up the terminal. I know you know about the terminal.
I
Just go in
do,
there and you
I
can.
do.
It's one click. I mean, not one quick click, but it's uh one command you put in there, and the script
Yep.
will install the full application for you based on the operating system that you ran it on.
How,
So it's
how
all
much?
Linux, huh?
How much does it take up and running in the background, or do you have yours running all the time in the background, or you run it for
Well, see,
maybe?
I have since I do all these, videos on computers and stuff, I have a dedicated server
Gotcha.
with virtual machines.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it doesn't affect my main system by me running it because I got, yeah.
So if you didn't have a dedicated server, would you run this in the background all the time, or no?
Uh, that's the thing. You can turn it off, turn it on
Okay.
as you need. So it all depends on what you're doing. So I wouldn't recommend you, because it's going to use a good amount of RAM, and that's just mainly for the memory of what it's trying to generate.
Mm-hmm.
Once it stops running, it's going to kill the process.
Okay.
So it's not gonna be using any resources while you're not interacting with it. But as soon as you interact with it, that's when it's gonna, it's gonna spike up CPU usage or
Right.
GPU. If you
Yeah.
most likely you have a GPU, but the GPU usage gonna shoot up, and memory is gonna shoot up a little bit. So
All right. All right. That's my man. Keep it techie, y'all.
yeah,
We on the road to 100,000. You know, summer gonna be
yeah,
summertime. Seafood boil when he hit
yeah. I
100,000.
know,
So,
right? I know, right? I'm gonna order some crawfish from
hey,
Louisiana,
please, yeah,
man. I'm
yeah,
telling
yeah. Hey,
you.
my man, you got any last words for the
Yo.
people tonight? Where everybody can find you, all that good stuff.
Oh yeah. Just keep it techie everywhere. You can check me out on my channel if you want to or whatever. All I do is talk about tech and Linux and all that stuff, helping people get into the field as well as, showing people some interesting tech on my channel. And I appreciate you letting me on, Sly,
Hey,
man.
no,
This
I
is
appreciate you
awesome
for reaching out,
little
man. Because
talk.
I didn't even think
Yeah.
which is my bad, man. Because I seen this shit going. I'm like, and then you said, hey, let me. It's like, oh hell yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
So
cause I always be wondering like, what's a good topic for me to go over there and talk with Sly about or whatever. And then this popped up. I was like, oh, this would be perfect because
yeah, yeah.
I know a little bit about it or whatever, and I can come over and hang out and talk to you, man, about it. Yeah.
Hey, as always,
So
I'm humble, brother. Like
appreciate
I
it
said, the door is always open. You got a key to the house, man. It's no big deal. You know, just let me know
for
whatever.
sure, man. For sure, man. Appreciate you.
My
Appreciate you
man, my
letting me on,
man.
man.
All right,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah. All right, y'all have a good one, man.
Enjoy the
Peace.
rest of your night.
All right, you too.
Thank you. Shout out to my man, Keep It Techie. I discovered him first. I don't care what nobody say. Hey, real quick, Andrew, thank you for the 10 on the Cash App. Sorry for chewing gum, but I'm in a gum chewing mode. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hopefully you guys got some out of it. Shout out to all the tech guys up in the building. Gabe, I seen you. G Dizzle, Tavares, all you guys. Untitled. Shout out to all you guys. Hopefully you guys got some out of this. I surely did. With that being said, I'm gonna get up out of here and I guess I'm gonna get to playing with this damn DeepSeek. So y'all have a good night. Peace.